everyone, my name is Azamuddin Hilmi, and today I will be presenting my visual project inspired by a poem that explores the beauty and mystery of fireflies in nature. Throughout this presentation, I will briefly introduce myself, explain the ideas behind my work, and walk you through how each visual piece represents a specific part of the poem. About me, so my name is Azamuddin Hilmi. My student ID is 243DM245F9. I'm in SM3 section, and my lecturer for this visual programming is Sir Wee Jia Fong. Introduction and ideas. The poem I drew inspiration from vividly describes the night scene with fireflies, their twinkling lights, and the signals they send in the darkness. My goal was to translate these poetic images into dynamic visuals that evoke the mood and essence of each line. So, I aim to capture the serenity, the lively dance of the fireflies, and their role as nature's signals in the night. So this is my reference and case study. So I interest with this part, night at the river and the twinkling flies, fire dancing beautiful to the eyes, and fireflies of the night have said. So I'm going to create my visual work to represent all of these highlight. So let me now walk you through each of the 4 visuals, that how they correspond to different parts of the poem. So the title of this visual work is Serene River. So for the concept and theme development, the core idea was to evoke the peaceful tranquil night scene by the river, emphasizing calmness and quietness. To capture this mood, I envision flowing gentle movements and subtle glow effect that mimic the gentle ripples of water and the delicate flickering of fireflies. So the data and environment setup. The foundation of the scene starts with grid, which provide a spatial reference simulating the river surface. I introduce randomness, this noise one, to create natural irregularities, mimicking the organic movement of water and the unpredictable of fiery lights. The geo nodes right here and sphere shape serve as base geometry representing the water surface and the floating fireflies. So for the particle system right here, particle 1 are used to simulate the floating fireflies like this. These particles are influenced by the noise, creating gentle organic movement. The ramp and bloom effect over here are added to soften the visuals and create a glowing, ethereal quality to fireflies, enhancing the tranquil night atmosphere. Lighting and colors. The color palette is predominantly cool blues and soft glows, achieved with color correction and gloss effect. The blue evoke the calmness of night, while the glow emphasizes the tickling light of fireflies. The lighting setup is subtle, avoiding harsh contrast to keep the scene serene. For the visual effect and composition, let me minimize this first. So the scene is animated with smooth continuous motion achieved through the timeline 1 and loop controls. The visual output is designed to be immersive with the flowing lines and glowing particles, creating a sense of depth and serenity. I use a feedback tool over here. I use a feedback tool and rendering nodes, render 1, to enhance the realism and depth of the scene. So the final touches and refinement, I adjust the adjustment were made to parameter like particle speed, glow, intensity, and noise scale to fine-tune the scene calmness. The overall composition aimed to evoke stillness and quietness with minimal movement and gentle light flickering. For the second visual work, the title is Luminous Swarm. So for this second artwork, my visual work is inspired by the poem Tickling Light by Abdul Samad Said, specifically focusing on the imagery of a cluster container and the twinkling flies. Using Touch Designer, I employ a procedural approach to recreate this scene dynamically. So for the concept and inspiration, I start by analyzing the poem imaginary, nighttime, the calmness, a cluster of glowing flies that guide my visual theme. I envision a container holding tiny luminous particle representing fireflies like this. So building the core structure in my work in Touch Designer, I create a base network where particles are small, glowing elements are generated. The nodes indicated the setup for controlling this particle. Using particle system or instancing to generate multiple tiny lights, applying noise and transform. Using particle system or instancing to generate multiple tiny lights and applying noise and transform nodes to give the particle natural floating movement, mimicking fireflies softly drifting within a container. Creating a cluster effect, I use randomization and point distribution nodes to cluster the particles within a defined space, simulating the cluster container from the poem. This involves adjusting spatial parameters to ensure particles stay within a confined area but move freely. Over here, enhancing visual appeal, color adjustment were added to amplify the luminous quality. The background was kept dark to emphasize the glowing particles, reinforcing the nighttime setting. The network is all connected to output nodes that render the cluster twinkling particles as a cohesive visual piece. The movement and twinkle synchronizes to evoke the peaceful, mesmerizing atmosphere described in the poem. So now let's jump to the artwork number 3. For the third visual work, the title is Twilight Glow. Okay, for this third artwork, my goal was to create a visual that embodies the serene, quiet movement of fireflies, like a fires dancing, and their gentle twinkling glows, beautiful to the eyes. From the poem, I aim to simulate a cluster of glowing points that float smoothly and flicker subtle, capturing the peaceful night scene described in the poem. So, let me explain the particle generation and clustering. I start with a particle system that generates a multitude of particles representing fireflies. The nodes like a sphere and sphere transform and transform over here help to position, scale, and animate these particles within a confined space, creating the illusion of a cluster container. The merge nodes combine multiple particle sources to form a dense, unified cluster, symbolizing the gathering of fireflies, like this one. So for the twinkling and glowing effect, the purple feedback loop contains nodes like feedback, edge detection, level, blur, and composite over here that manipulate the particles' brightness and glow, creating a flickering effect. The switch nodes toggle between different states of glow intensity, simulating the flickering twinkle of fireflies. The use of feedback nodes ensures that the glow persists and gently fluctuates, enhancing the twinkling visual. So for the final composition and output, the combined effect are rendered in the render top display on the right side, showing the floating glowing fireflies with gentle flickering. The visual is designed to evoke a sense of calmness, quiet movement, and natural beauty, aligning with a poem imaginary. And the last one, the fourth visual work, the title is Night's Tiny Signal. Artwork. The aim was to create a serene, dynamic visual that captures the gentle movement and glowing effect of fireflies at night, symbolizing nature's subtle signal and the tickling light described in the poem. The visual features particles that simulate fireflies floating freely in the night scene. As you can see right here, the particle is actually made like fireflies fly in the night with the aurora, so with flickering lights that evoke their natural twinkle. So I begin by generating particles using a sphere SOP, which acts as a emitter for the fireflies. The particles are randomly distributed within a defined space, representing a firefly flying across the night sky in the aurora. The transform SOP are used to animate these particles, making them drift smoothly, as you can see, creating a quiet floating effect. The movement is governed by noise functions, giving a natural organic movement that mimics fireflies gently swaying and flying at night. Glowing flickering effect. To simulate the flickering light of fireflies, I employ a feedback loop that modulates the particles' brightness over time. The level nodes control the intensity and flickering amplitude, creating a shimmering effect that makes the particles appear to twinkle. The glow, right here, as you can see, is further enhanced by post-processing nodes, which add a soft glow around each particles, making them beautiful to the eyes. See, it's so beautiful. As you can see right here, the background or aurora effect is generated through the combination of the glow and color adjustment, creating a night sky ambience that complements the floating fireflies. The visual effect of the aurora adds depth and a sense at atmosphere, immersing the fireflies within a luminous night scene. So for the final composition, the particles are rendered using the render top right here, blending the glowing fireflies into the scene. The entire setup creates a peaceful, mesmerizing visual that illustrates fireflies at the night, softly flickering and floating across the scene, the poetic imagery. So this is the final artwork. Night at the river is quiet as calmness, a cluster container, the twinkling flies, quietly floating without voices, fires dancing beautiful to the eyes. Natural signal, the tickling light, fireflies of the night have said.